ABC News.
As our world changes, we'll keep you up to date with the latest information. News Talk KVNU 102 FM 610 AM.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. As Cache Valley Bank continues to look for opportunities for growth, they will soon be opening a new branch in Preston, Idaho. This will be their first location outside of Utah and their 18th branch overall. Wells Fargo abandoned its Preston location in September, giving the Logan-based financial institution an opening in the community. Scott Beckstead, a Cache Valley Bank board member and Preston resident, said they plan to open the branch in Stokes Market, located at 217 South State, on November 1st. Lyndon Beckstead, Scott's father, was with Cache Valley Bank since its beginning in the mid-1970s. Scott followed in his father's footsteps and has been on the bank's board for 30 years. Preston has 4 other banks, including Zions Bank, which mostly handles commercial loans, and consumer banks like Ireland Bank, US Bank, and Alta Bank. Beckstead said the bank is growing, not just to get bigger, but to serve underserved communities. KVNU News Time is 5:06. KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, the overnight low in the lower 30s. Partly cloudy, mid-60s tomorrow, and then becoming mostly cloudy Friday night, and then cloudy 50% chance of rain on Saturday, cooler, high around 50. It's 65, and it's been 67 degrees this afternoon at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Adams Wealth Advisors. They expect specific guidance from advisors, or you can expect specific guidance from advisors that adhere to principles of honesty, professionalism, and integrity. Visit adamswealthadvisors.com to schedule a time with an advisor today.
Okay, Piggy, this time that steel building is coming down.
What you got there, Wolfie?
It's a tornado in a tube. How can that be? Your building's still standing. I'm blown away.
A building from Northern Steel Buildings will keep out the big bad wolf, and they don't break the piggy bank. Visit northernsteelbuilding.com to see their quality work or call 435-677-7300. Northern Steel Buildings. Value from concept to construction.
KVNU News Time is 5:07. A 44-year-old Logan man has been arrested for allegedly physically abusing and threatening to kill a woman multiple times during the past several years. Paul Wayman was booked into the Cache County Jail Monday, where he is temporarily being held without bail. According to an arrest report, Logan City police officers began investigating Wayman after receiving information of child abuse and severe domestic violence occurring at several local residences. The crimes had been taking place since May 2019. During an interview, the alleged victim described multiple incidents of domestic physical abuse. She described how Wayman would allegedly choke her repeatedly. He also took her keys so she could not leave during one dispute and damaged her vehicle several other times. 2 children were present during many of the assaults that happened after the suspect had been drinking. The report outlined how during one specific incident, Wayman threatened the woman that he was going to kill the children. Officers questioned Wayman, who admitted to strangling the victim. He claimed that alcohol use and mental health issues caused him not to remember everything that happened. According to jail records, Wayman was booked on suspicion of aggravated kidnapping, assault, domestic violence, child abuse, and criminal mischief. Formal charges are pending officers' investigation. Police are asking the court to hold Wayman in jail, citing a dire concern for the safety of the alleged victim and children if he's released. They report he has multiple convictions in Utah and California for domestic violence-related offenses. And firefighters and emergency crews were called to a semi-truck fire in southeastern Idaho that partially closed Interstate 86. The blaze was reported on westbound I-86 east of Burley. Wednesday afternoon just before 5. Idaho State Police report the truck driver said he was traveling westbound when a passing truck driver notified him via radio that hay bales on the trailer were on fire. The driver pulled to the right shoulder and tried to extinguish the flames, but it spread quickly and soon engulfed all 3 trailer loads. The blaze also caused a small grass fire. Westbound travel on the interstate was closed into the evening to allow firefighters to extinguish the flames in the large hay bales. The triple trailer hauling the hay was a total loss. The driver of the truck was not hurt. KVNU News Time is 5:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Utah's ICUs are full of COVID patients, nearly all of whom haven't been vaccinated. Last week, it took hospital staff an average of 3 hours and 45 minutes to locate an available ICU bed for a patient who needed one. Delays in getting into a hospital aren't just inconvenient, they can also impact the care a patient receives. Please get vaccinated to keep ICU beds open and to help others get the help they need. It's easy to get the vaccine. It's easy to find out more information about the vaccine. Just visit coronavirus.utah.gov.
Aggie fans are looking forward to homecoming weekend and an important Friday night football game. Locker 42 has lots of things any Aggie would love to wear to the game. With cooler temperatures, pick out a new Aggie logo jacket, long sleeve tee, or a warm and comfortable Aggie hoodie. And nobody has a bigger selection of Aggie hats. Locker 42 has a wall full of Aggie hats for you to choose from. When it's time to get ready for game day, shop Locker 42. Either location, 1430 North Main next to Little Caesars, or the flagship store in downtown Logan at 36 South Main. Locker 42.
Hi, this is Drew Allen with Allen Mortuaries. Over the years, thousands of families have planned ahead with Allen Mortuaries. Planning ahead helps you make informed and thoughtful decisions. It also spares your family the stress of making these decisions under the pressure of time and strong emotions. Allen Mortuaries' secure pre-need trust plan can save you nearly 40% versus other plans. Keep it simple, safe, and secure. Go with the proven choice, Allen Mortuaries. Voted best funeral home in Cache Valley in northern Utah. Allen Mortuaries. Then, now, always.
Well, the leaves are changing, fall is in full swing, and so are the great deals on Ram trucks at Heritage. During Ram Power Days, check out 0% financing for 72 months, available on all new Ram models. Experience for yourself why Ram is the #1 brand loyalty. And right now, we've got discounts up to $5,000 off on Ram, the most awarded light truck in America. Come see why Heritage is the hometown dealer with the biggest deals in Logan, Tremont, and Brigham City.
This election, vote Keegan for Logan. With support from county and state leaders, Keegan Garrity understands the importance of working together while considering all perspectives. Keegan believes that by following smart growth principles, we can keep the city downtown while preserving the open spaces we love. Keegan is willing to engage with anybody, including those with opposing viewpoints. He's the type of guy you could share a Diet Coke with. Vote Keegan, a voice for the people. Paid for by the committee to elect Keegan Garrity.
Utah and Cache Valley are in a critical housing shortage. Inventory is low and prices are high. We need attainable housing for our children, our school teachers, and essential workers. Proposition 1 will help bring much-needed attainable housing to Providence and Cache Valley. Vote for Proposition 1. Paid for by Complete Vineyard for Providence.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show. It is Thursday, October 21st. No movie show tomorrow. Give everybody a few moments of silence there to mourn, especially fans of the movie show. No For the People, actually, tomorrow. This is our last show of the week because, and we're happy about this, because, you know, they've had a good season. Logan High will be playing tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And I guess, I think that's here locally.
Yeah.
That's over there at Crimson Field.
That's right. It's happening here.
It was Cedar.
And, I was thinking about this, Bill, and this is obviously a sign that I've aged since high school, but Cedar City's a long way to travel to play a game. And I was curious. I know what they do with the college teams. College teams have a pretty big budget for this type of stuff. Most school districts don't. I'm guessing that these players didn't get a hotel room tonight. I'm guessing this is a travel up tomorrow and play the game at 4 kind of thing.
And then head right back down at 6:30, 7 when they're done.
Pretty big day. Yeah, luckily they're all 16 to 18 and have resilient bodies still. But
makes for a long
I'd
Friday.
not make it.
Yeah.
I would need all of Friday.
Maybe
all
they
of
chartered
Saturday
a
to
jet,
rest.
through at Logan Cache Airport. I don't know.
Oh, could you imagine the scandal? The Utah School District charters private jet. Oh, yeah, but that's right. Logan hosting Cedar City tomorrow at 4 p.m. at the Crimson Field, and it will be broadcasting live starting at 4 here on our airwaves, KVNU, 610 a.m. and 102.1 FM, of course. And then, as has been tradition this whole season, and I should tell this story. So now that it's happened, so people can't yell at me, I actually had the opportunity to be the person behind one of these cameras for these video streaming of the games that we've been doing at CacheValleyDaily.com. And when I almost feel guilty saying we because all the work's being done by others here. I've just been here to announce it and talk about it on the show. But it's very cool that this is happening. It makes me proud to be even loosely attached here in the afternoons to the Cache Valley Radio Group, Cache Valley Media Group. It's harder to do than you would think. I'd never once in my life, Bill, have I ever watched a televised football game or a live stream of a football game and wondered about any skill for the person behind the camera until after an abrupt reschedule due to lightning and a momentary, temporary shortness of staff, I was asked to fill in. Someone said, is there any way, this was a real emergency, is there any way you can go run the camera for the live stream during the Bear River game? And it had been rescheduled from Friday night to Saturday.
And you said, well, let me contact my union and see if...
That's right. I said, let me look at my contract and see if I'm covered there. But no, I jumped on the opportunity because I've said this many times on the show. I'm not a huge fan of the NFL. My attention span runs out before the first quarter does on an NFL game. Televised. I could sit through one in person, no doubt. I never have, actually, but I'm sure I'd enjoy it. I love going to college basketball games in person.
Depends if you follow a team or not, if you're really kind of into that. Or
even then, just being there in person, there's a lot more going on. There's plenty to fill your time while there's a timeout or any kind of delay in play. On TV, there's just commercials. And most NFL games, there's more commercials than game. And it's irritating. Yeah. And if it's not a commercial, it's just...
Or let's stand around for 20 minutes while we review this play to see if his knee was down.
It's someone in headphones pacing up and down the sideline. That's the majority of an NFL broadcast on TV.
Yeah, somebody did... I think they timed it out as to how much actual action there is in a 3.5 hour NFL game.
I know the last time I saw an analysis like this, they did an entire season, and it was 11 minutes. 11 minutes of the ball actually moving somewhere in the average televised NFL game. That may have changed because I think that was a good 10 years ago that I read that. But it was, so my attention span, my brain wanders off. I don't enjoy it. Seeing it in person, I'm sure I'd like. I've never been into an actual NFL game, but I've been to a lot of college football games. I love it. High school football games are actually amazing to watch because they're scrappy. The same reason the Cedar City players can handle driving up here tomorrow morning, playing a game, and driving back tomorrow night, which would, again, put me into a coma through Saturday.
Well, you can sleep on the bus.
That same thing makes high school games just... high school games are fun because they're extremes. They're either total snooze fests or, and this is more likely the case...
Well, if they're a blowout.
Yeah, like either a blowout or neither team's really just doing anything at all. But what's more likely the case with a high school football game is you get to see some talent that at least you can say, that person's maybe going to be able to go somewhere with this. But you can also see some really cool plays. The coaches tend to experiment a little bit more, I think, in high school. And yeah, it's a faster pace, more exciting game to watch for me. So I jumped on the chance. But back to
and the fans are more exuberant, I think. Well, you know,
I think that's part of it
for,
too.
You know, Utah State, they can be pretty exuberant. You know,
Aggies,
the herd
Aggies
and everything.
Get pretty into their. But so back to my original point, I was behind the camera on this one, and here are a couple of things I didn't realize. First off, it's very difficult to follow the ball through a viewfinder on a camera. That's harder than you would think.
Imagine if you were doing a hockey game.
Oh man,
doing video.
I can't even imagine as fast as the puck moves in a hockey game, but also the contrast of But white against it was difficult, and so then the other problem I have is and the people calling the game had to shout at me a couple of times in the actual broadcast because they knew what was happening. But there'd be a big exciting play, and I'd actually lean around the camera to watch. Oh wow! Look what's happening!
Yeah, and the camera was focused on some guy in the fourth row, and
the seagull, seagull up over the mountains there in Bear River. It was. But yeah, my point is, this is actually a lot harder to do. You would think it would be easy. I did. And of course, I wasn't trained for this. This was last minute. The conversation in which I agreed to go do this actually happened hours before the game. The game had been rescheduled. Everything was fine until we realized that the rescheduling caused
they had those severe storms Friday night.
Yeah, a lot of lightning
night
out there, I guess. Yeah. And it was pretty wet. The equipment was covered, but when I got there, it was pretty soaked, the covers. There was a lot of weather. So the game was postponed until the next the next day at noon, and that led to an impossibly to resolve schedule conflict for the staff that were going to go out and do this. So I volunteered, and that was my big takeaway. It was a great game, but my big takeaway was those folks behind the cameras on the especially the non-professional games, the college and high school games. That is harder to do than you would think.
Well, and
there's definitely an art to it that I have not mastered.
Even on college games, and occasionally, once in a while, even NFL games, you'll see the camera will be looking over somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the ball is not there.
Yeah, that actually happened during a recent Kansas City game. There was a Chiefs game. And,
so it's not a
the
perfect
cameraman
science,
was scrambling, just back and forth. Where'd that ball go? Then they cut to two other cameras, but they were focused on, get this, people's pacing on the sidelines with headphones on.
Well, it's hard. Patrick Mahomes moves so fast. It's like, where'd Patrick go? He's over there now. Oh, okay.
Except that last game.
Chiefs have kind of struggled.
He had a bad,
they've kind of struggled this year a little bit.
Had a bad game. Anyway, so that is easier said than done to run a camera through a game. It's a lot harder to see that little ball as it moves quickly through the sky or bouncing along the ground through the viewfinder of a camera. And luckily, this is the one trick I learned. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you're trying to run the camera for a live stream of a high school game, there are some cues to where the ball is if you lose it. And that's usually where the gigantic mass of players from both teams are bumping into each other or
there's
shoving
a big
up.
pile of
that's where the ball
bodies.
is.
Usually the ball is underneath there. Unless
you might have lost the ball after the kick, but that's where the ball is now. Just find that. And that's a lot easier to find in the viewfinder than that little ball.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and then,
you could just tell the teams to do that. Just wherever the ball is, just 5 or 6 of you guys just pile on it.
Follow that. I'm trying to follow with the camera.
For our sake.
Oh, man. So this is all a way to set up a little promotion here. The Logan High game, in addition to broadcasting here on KVNU tomorrow at 4 o'clock during our normal show hours, you'll instead be able to hear Logan High hosting Cedar City right here at the Crimson Field. And this will be broadcast on our airwaves, 610 AM and 102.1 FM, and also online audio stream at kvnutalk.com. But in addition to that, video streaming on CacheValleyDaily.com. And while we're on this topic, Skyview is also hosting, they're hosting Hurricane at, not Hurricane, Hurricane.
I learned that in the early 1980s.
That's right.
When I did a commercial.
I forgive people for getting that one wrong when they come here because it's spelled hurricane.
It's spelled, yeah.
But it's pronounced here in Utah, Hurricane. 4 p.m. on The Fan 106.9 FM. So same time at 4 p.m. tomorrow, Skyview hosting Hurricane, and that's also video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com at the same time. Finally, Bear River is way down at Dixie. That is at 4 p.m. tomorrow on 104.9 The Ranch.
There's still Dixie High School, huh?
Yeah, still okay. Dixie High School. I'm wondering when that's going to be, a debate. But it seems to be the thing lately. 104.9 The Ranch and video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. And then lastly, not in importance but in schedule, Mountain Crest is at Crimson Cliffs, and that is tomorrow evening at 6 p.m.
And that may not have a video stream attached, but you can hear it at 107.7.
Yeah, that's right, KLZX. So, Mountain Crest at Crimson Cliffs tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So everything's at 4 p.m. Skyview, Logan, Bear River. Skyview on the Fan, Logan here on KVNU, Bear River on the Ranch, and then Mountain Crest at Crimson Cliffs. Working on this, but likely no live stream for this event, or video stream for this event. But we'll be broadcasting live on 107.7 KLZX. So that's the lineup for football tomorrow. So again, no For the People. Instead, you'll hear Logan High over on the Fan, Skyview on the Ranch, Bear River, and on KLZX, Mountain Crest. That's the lineup tomorrow. Most games at 4, except Mountain Crest at 6. And we'll be back. Big event happening tomorrow. This is free and open to the public. It would require you to miss one of these games, probably, or at least some of it. But and I talked Monday about an event they had just this week, starting the week, with former Idaho State Senator Brent Hill talking about civility and what he thinks wrong with our political debates right now. That kicked off the week for the Utah State University Institute of Government and Politics. And they're wrapping up their week, the USU IOGP, with a free event open to the public with a pretty big-name journalist coming to town. Jonathan Martin, a political correspondent, national political correspondent for the New York Times, will be speaking on campus tomorrow, courtesy of an invitation from USU's Institute of Government and Politics. And we got the scoop on him. KVNU's Craig Hislop actually arranged a conversation with Jonathan Martin ahead of tomorrow's event. It's coming up in just a bit. Stay tuned.
NMLS 1817019.
Lendrite Mortgage declares freedom from high rates and closing costs with the introduction of our Freedom Loan. What is a Freedom Loan? 1, you pay 0 closing costs. 2, you get a rate that's the same or lower than the rate other lenders charge you thousands in points and fees to get. The choice is clear. Pay thousands more than you should with another lender, or get the same or lower rate and have the Freedom Loan cover 100% of your closing costs. Act now. Freedom Loan APRs are as low as 1.92% for 8 to 15-year terms and 2.67% for 16 to 30-year terms. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendritemortgage.com. Get a Freedom Loan and say no to high rates and closing costs. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendritemortgage.com.
Utah's ICUs are full of COVID patients, nearly all of whom haven't been vaccinated. Last week, it took hospital staff an average of 3 hours and 45 minutes to locate an available ICU bed for a patient who needed one. Delays in getting into a hospital aren't just inconvenient, they can also impact the care a patient receives. Please get vaccinated to keep ICU beds open and to help others get the help they need. It's easy to get the vaccine. It's easy to find out more information about the vaccine. Just visit coronavirus.utah.gov.
RoofMax by Quality Pace Roofing is a quick and affordable alternative to a complicated and expensive asphalt roof replacement. Your home and business roof may need help going into the winter months. Call 757-9642 and let Quality Pace Roofing see if RoofMax can save you thousands. This is a nationally recognized asphalt shingle rejuvenation process that extends the life of your roof up to 15 years beyond the warranty. Call Quality Pace Roofing 757-9642 or Google Quality Pace Roofing.
Glenn Beck. This audience helped people with food, with PPEs in Detroit when their government abandoned them. Nobody ever printed that story. Nobody ever did anything about that. So that's fine. That's not why you did it. You did it because it was the right thing. Because people know inherently there is something in America, in the average American heart, that leaving people behind is the most un-American thing you can do.
The Glenn Beck Program. Sunday afternoons from 2 to 5 on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Coming up, our own Craig Hislop has a chance to talk with a national political correspondent for the New York Times, Jonathan Martin. This is famous journalist interviewing famous journalists. So this will be fun to hear. That's coming up in just a bit. Jonathan Martin here in town for an event tomorrow at USU. The Institute of Government and Politics at Utah State University invited Martin to town to talk about basically being a political reporter in this current era, which has been weird, from the pandemic to two of the weirdest elections for president, at least, that we've seen in a while, or in our lifetime even, to the general strangeness of how consumers find their news and media these days. It's changed things quite a bit. So Jonathan Martin was invited to speak about that to USU students. And this is open to the public tomorrow, by the way. It is a free event. They usually have pizza afterwards. At least they did last year. So it's something you might want to get out to. And you can find the USU Institute on Government of Politics in a couple of different ways. The easiest is just search on Facebook for, if you're a Facebook user, for Utah State University IOGP or USU IOGP. You can also find them on Instagram, Twitter, and they do have a straight-up website through the university. But the schedule is available on any of those channels. And again, this is a free event tomorrow, but we got the scoop on them just a little bit. So that's coming up. Before we get to that, though, a news story that just kind of highlights I mean, to be honest with you, this is alarming to some extent, because if it doesn't get better, we don't have a lot of options when it comes to drought. You know, drought is a thing that happens, and we don't pull the levers on that. We do have a choice of how we respond or how we prepare for potential future droughts. The drought we're in, whatever preparation we did is what we did. There's no rewinding time there. Either way, we find ourselves in this situation. The Lake Powell Pipeline and the Great Salt Lake have been getting a lot of attention lately because both are examples of the impact of water development. So water development happens to support the water needs of growing communities, and yet water development has an impact on rivers, which has an impact on lakes, which has an impact on the overall ecology surrounding the lakes, and even the weather patterns surrounding the lakes. As we discussed yesterday, depleted or shrunken Great Salt Lake means reduced lake snow effect, which means less snow in the mountains, which means less snowpack, which means less water coming down in the spring, which intensifies a drought. It's a vicious cycle. So this is serious stuff. But this is information that I knew things were dire, but especially in some areas, I didn't know that it was this. I didn't know it was this dire. So a lot of electricity in Colorado generated from the Colorado River. A lot. It's one of the major energy suppliers or electricity outlets for the entire state, actually. And based on what's happened this summer and projections going forward, power generation in Colorado. So most of this year, let me double check that. See if this started. So Glen Canyon Dam produces, most of this year has produced about 70% of the power it normally does. And if Lake Powell drops, water levels drop another 8 feet, it's already down 55, I think. If Lake Powell water levels drop another 8 feet, the Glen Canyon Dam will not be able to produce electricity. Like zero. There's not enough. It doesn't mean that those turbines are open out in open air. It means there isn't enough water pressure. There isn't enough gravity weight. There's enough water to produce enough weight to turn them effectively. So basically, it's already down 55 feet. If it drops another 8 feet, those power generating turbines stop turning. And like a switch, when that happens, there's no more electricity other than a very limited battery storage supply coming out of the Glen Canyon Dam, which, again, supplies the majority of electricity to the entire state of Colorado. I mean, that's a pretty big deal, another 8 feet. Now, the time of year and all of that, it's unlikely to happen. And the state managers who produced this report, as reported by the Salt Lake Tribune and the Deseret News today, I'm looking at the Deseret News story, the report is very clear to say this is unlikely to happen. The reason they put this out is they want state leaders in Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah who are debating the future of Lake Powell's water, specifically Utah wanting to build this pipeline to take more water to Cedar City, on top of, again, we've talked about this a lot, this report that shows that St. George and Cedar City using double the amount of water per person than the national average. So not a lot of conservation efforts have already been tried there in the St. George and Cedar City area. And yet they say, the Virgin River's not enough. It won't meet water demands. They need this pipeline cross state from Lake Powell to the area to meet their water demands. Again, I prefer that they at least try to get their water use down to less than double the national average first. That seems like a reasonable thing to attempt. But still, projected population growth in St. George is huge, just like here in Cache Valley. So there might be a real need, and the state should be debating it. That said, if the drought continues, there isn't any water to fight over. You can have these fights all the want. You can build all the pipelines you want. But if the drought continues into a second year, all of this is kind of a moot point. The Glen Canyon Dam won't be able to produce power for the majority of the state of Colorado. You got bigger worries at that point than enough water for the growth projected over the next 40 years. But at the same time, that's a pretty big deal too. So the reason I point this out is we've got a lot of work to do, and this work can't just happen here in Utah. It can't just happen in Colorado. It can't just happen in New Mexico or Arizona. This has to be a coordinated effort, especially in the southern part of the state where the rivers are coming from somewhere and going to somewhere. So what we do affects everyone downstream. What people in Colorado do affects everyone downstream, which is us. We need to get coordinating on this stuff. And yeah, as one reader points out in the comments here at the Deseret News, maybe we need to consider, maybe Colorado, for example, in this case, needs to consider generating power a different way. Maybe we should be talking more seriously, 10 years ago about nuclear energy in the West. Maybe we should this or that. We are where we are. We have the options we have going forward. Nuclear energy, I actually agree with those who say we should have been talking about this 10 years ago. Totally agree. But if we start talking about it seriously today, a couple of things. It's not going in Utah. We don't have enough water running as an appropriate source to actually do that. It's been explored, and it's not going to work. But Colorado and parts of New Mexico could handle it. Idaho, another example. All of that could benefit Utah, but we can't call those shots in another state. So that's a great discussion, theoretical, all of that, but nuclear energy isn't going to be the solution here, at least not immediately. Maybe 20 years down the road, maybe, but not next year, not the year after that. Reservoirs aren't going to solve the problem entirely either, this report shows, because, again, coming down to the same thing, if the drought continues, there really isn't any water to fight over. And that's an exaggeration, of course. There will be water. The rivers aren't going to run dry, but it's not going to be enough water to significantly change the landscape, even if you dig holes for reservoirs. It's a problem. And the solutions are pretty limited. But for Colorado right now, this is making them understandably very nervous. State leaders looking at a report that shows they are 8 feet of Lake Powell water level away from Glen Canyon no longer producing electricity for the state. Check it out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. Deseret News story on this report today on the front page, understandably. It's linked on our Facebook page. On the other side, KVNU's Craig Hislop has a chance to talk with national political correspondent for the New York Times, Jonathan Martin. He's in town at the request of the USU Institute of Government and Politics. He'll be speaking on campus tomorrow, but we've got some time with him ahead of that. It's coming up right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:40. News brought to you by U&I Furniture. Logan's Economic Development Director, Kirk Jensen, was a guest on KVNU's monthly Speak to the Mayor program on Wednesday. He said there was some uncertainty about the local economy when the pandemic first hit, but then things started happening.
In the wake of that, not shortly after that broke out, you could just feel the humming. You know, the economy was doing well prior to COVID. Cache Valley was performing strong, but even more so. And yeah, right now it's really an incredible pace of activity and people looking to do things. So it's a fun time.
Jensen said growth is going to happen internally and externally because the Valley has a lot to offer people.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain sense out there that cities, communities completely control their growth. I mean, that stuff just comes at you, right? And Cache Valley is a very desirable community, great place to live, great quality of life, ranks high in all of those things. Safety is another great thing. So people are going to come. Plus, you got the indigenous growth, or the natural growth of children, grandchildren, you know, wanting to live here.
He says it is a challenge to try to look ahead and anticipate where the economy is headed, but then having to adjust because of other factors that crop up. But Jensen said that's what keeps his job interesting and exciting for him. He said a high priority for the city right now is the Center Block Plaza project that will be going in at the old Emporium location. Jensen said that things should start moving with that in late December. Firefighters responded to a second alarm fire at the Joseph Smith Memorial Building in Salt Lake City Wednesday night. Captain Anthony Burton with the Salt Lake Fire Department told Fox 13 that at 7:18 p.m., security staff with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints called in saying there was a fire on the second story of the building. The fire was initially reported by missionaries in the area. When crews arrived, smoke and flames were visible from the roof. Immediately, a second alarm assignment was called with the help of additional firefighters. Due to the upgraded assignment, crews were able to quickly get to the roof, and the fire was under control in 30 minutes. And the top prosecutor in Utah's most populous county says he will no longer offer plea deals to defendants accused of gun-related crimes in an effort to combat gun violence. Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill said Wednesday he was putting people on notice that his office will come down hard on those accused of gun crimes. He cited statistics showing an increase in homicides from 2019 to 2020. The Salt Lake Tribune reports 2/3 of those homicides involve firearms. The change means that gun offenders will have to plead guilty to more serious crimes or go to trial, likely resulting in longer sentences behind bars. KVNU News Time is 5:43.
As you've noticed, the season has changed, and the holidays are coming, and so are your guests. You need beds for them to sleep in and a new couch to sit on. Well, with family and friends coming, U&I Furniture is the place to help you be ready. Find the popular selling queen-size therapeutic mattress for only $3.99. Or here's an idea. Move the bed you're sleeping on to the guest room and upgrade your mattress. See all the chairs, too, at U&I's Chair Heaven. Accent chairs, lift chairs, and, of course, recliners. There's always a better buy at U&I Furniture in downtown Logan.
The FBI has confirmed that the human remains found yesterday in a Florida nature preserve are those of Brian Laundrie. The Florida man was the fiancé of Gabby Petito, whose body was found last month in a remote a remote part of Wyoming. More from ABC's Trevor Alt.
The announcement marks the end of a nationwide manhunt for Laundrie, still the only named person of interest in Petito's murder after he returned home from their cross-country road trip without her. And now sparking further questions, the fact his parents led authorities along the trail Wednesday where the remains were found. Their attorney now clarifying the timeline, saying Wednesday Chris Laundrie found a bag belonging to Brian off one side of the trail, but law enforcement located Brian's backpack and then the remains.
Laundrie returned to Florida after Petito went missing while they were on a cross-country road trip. His parents, who authorities say had not been cooperating, yesterday accompanied authorities as they resumed the search. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, low in the low 30s, partly cloudy, mid-60s tomorrow. Cloudy, 50% chance of rain on Saturday, high temperature around 50. It's been to 67. It's 64 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Northern Steel Building. Steel is stronger, more flexible, and more dependable than wood, masonry, and concrete. Plus, steel is often less expensive. See their work online at northernsteelbuilding.com. For more details on these and other stories, visit cachevalleydaily.com.
Building, remodeling, Daryl's has the wall oven for you. This is Jay from Daryl's Appliance. We have a great selection of single and double Whirlpool wall ovens in stock right now. Whirlpool wall ovens help you manage mealtime for the whole family. That's at Daryl's, where service always comes first. Daryl's West on Airport Road.
See Daryl's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
With a little help from Mother Nature's October snow, Whole Tree Care is slammed, and they're hiring. If you like to work with your hands, give Whole Tree Care a call, 760-6587. They need climbers and groundmen. Call them to clean up your large broken branches and trees, too, or get your trees trimmed before the next snowstorm. So whether you need a job or have a cleanup job for Whole Tree Care to do, call 760-6587. They have a certified arborist, the right equipment, the best cleanup crew, and the most experience. 760-6587.
Attention homeowners, you may have noticed the ground shift after your foundation has been poured, causing your house to sink or settle. Protect your investment from issues before they happen. Polylift concrete raising and piering will stabilize, lift, and eliminate further settling by using Magnum piering products to save you big money down the road. Polylift concrete raising and piering are the foundation lifting experts. Visit poly-lift.com to schedule your free assessment or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
When the bills from your accident pile up, it's time for you to consider professional legal counsel. Get the Bear. Berenson and Caldwell.
My name's Keenan Prescott. Berenson and Caldwell helped me manage a lot of different aspects to a complicated case. Someone hit me head on with their car, and I've had a lot of different legal things surrounding that, like my health insurance broke their contract with me. My medical bills would not have been paid without Berenson and Caldwell. They've been really good at explaining things and helping me understand their process.
Visit BerensonLaw.com to instantly connect and receive a free case review of your injury. BerensonLaw.com.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. It's referred to as the USU IOGP, the Institute of Government and Politics. This is for USU students to get firsthand and sometimes hands-on experience with everything from lobbying, from representing cities and other entities as spokespersons, anyway, it runs the gamut from public relations to the inner workings of government at the state and the federal level. And it's amazing stuff. On Monday, they kicked the week off with a former Idaho State Senator who currently heads up a foundation in D.C. seeking to bring civility back to our politics in the legislative processes around the country. That was Brent Hill on Monday. They're wrapping up this week with a visit to USU's campus at their invitation from Jonathan Martin, who is the national political correspondent for the New York Times. He'll be speaking on campus tomorrow ahead of at the in front of USU students. This is at 1 p.m. at the David B. Haight Center. KVNU's Craig Hislop, though, how he does this, I'll never know, managed to get the scoop on all this and get some time with Jonathan Martin ahead of tomorrow's event. Craig, take it away.
New York Times national political correspondent Jonathan Martin is coming to the Utah State University campus. He's going to be talking to students about his career. Plus, tomorrow he'll lead a moderated discussion presented by both USU's College of Humanities and Social Sciences and the school's Institute for Government and Politics. The discussion is part of the Institute's Informed Citizen series. And Jonathan, good enough to take some time to visit with us. Jonathan, have you traveled to Utah before?
I have, and I'm thrilled to get back. I spent some time out there, I guess it would have been 3 years ago, right when Senator Hatch was about to retire, and now Senator Romney was poised to take his seat, and it was in Salt Lake City and was in Park City, and ate at the Copper Onion in Salt Lake City, and got some time in the state capitol, and really enjoyed myself, so I'm eager to get back.
I asked that question in connection with your book, your best-selling book about the Romney-Obama presidential race, the 34 days that decided the election. And my memory of that time had to do with some serious mistakes that Romney had made in kind of micromanaging his campaign, while Obama left his, those details to veterans who got him elected the first 4 years. Was that part of your book?
Yeah, no, you're jogging my memory now to 2012. Look, I think Romney himself will be candid about the mistakes he made in that campaign, and the fact that Obama ran a really effective campaign against him. I think if Romney, in hindsight, would have changed a few things that he did, but he's not in a bad place now. I think he's enjoying his retirement. Career in politics as the junior senator from Utah.
So that led us to Obama's second term, and then came the 4 years of the Trump presidency. How do you think how did that change the political landscape in this country?
Oh my gosh! I mean, how much time do we have? You just look at a place like Utah, and that's a great example of the kind of split thinking on Trump. There's definitely an element of the Republican Party that is quite fond of former President Trump, that would love to see him run again. And there are other Republicans who never really took a shine to him and would rather he stay on the 19th hole down in Florida and enjoy his retirement in the sun. You see that in the Utah Republican Party. You see that divide. It played out certainly to some degree in the primary for governor last year. So there's no question that he has really had a major impact on American politics and certainly Utah politics. And today, I think Romney is probably as popular, if not more popular, among Democrats in Utah than he is the Republican base out there. So,
do you assume that he'll run again?
Trump or Romney?
Sorry, Trump.
I think today he appears likely to run. I think, we're a long ways away from 2024. I've learned in covering politics now for the last, 16, 17 years, don't make assumptions. He who lives by the crystal ball winds up eating glass. You just can't assume anything. And I think Barack Obama and Donald Trump are proof positive of the importance of not making assumptions about who can or can't win or who is or isn't going to run. So I think I will dodge your question. I think we just don't know right now, 3 years away, what's going to happen.
A couple more things before I let you go.
Yeah,
how's President Biden handling things in his first year?
Well, I think President Biden has obviously taken a hit from the public. He had a tough summer. The combination of the Delta sort of strain leading to a resurgence of COVID, along with the Afghanistan withdrawal, sent his numbers tumbling. And you add to that, the inflation impact on the cost of goods, and obviously he's not where he was earlier this year. Look, I think President Biden was elected by people who wanted to turn the page from Trump. He just wanted to move on. And I think the sort of underlying assumption with President Biden's election was we're going to get back to some degree of normal. And, once we return to sort of COVID restrictions over the summer, I think for a lot of Americans it was just frustrating. Why isn't this over? I thought this was going to be over by now. And perhaps it's not totally fair to put all that blame on Biden himself, but that's the nature of politics,
I would say that we see you frequently on television appearing as a political analyst. Obviously, your bosses at the Times, I regard that as a positive.
Yeah, and they're very good about that, and they encourage us to have a pretty expansive public profile to offer our insights and reporting and analysis about American politics. So I'm lucky to be a contributor on CNN and appear on John King's show during the week and on Sundays, and really enjoy doing that quite a bit, and hope folks will tune in to watch our Inside Politics takes. But I'm thrilled to get out to Utah. The last time I was there, I saw a Utes game and a basketball game, and this time I'm going to be up in Aggie country in Logan, and I'm really looking forward to being there.
I'm guessing you appear at events like this from time to time. Students' questions, are they similar these days to maybe questions you would have asked in your college days?
Sure. No, there's definitely a recurring theme to the questions. Kids are curious about the media, how it works. They're curious about Washington. They're curious about covering campaigns, interacting with political people, what that's like. I think those curiosities endure.
Well, tomorrow, Jonathan Martin's going to lead a moderated discussion with Michael Kennedy, Vice President of VMware. It's a cloud computing company, and this is at 1 o'clock Friday afternoon at the Haight Alumni Center on campus. I'm told it's open to everybody. Jonathan, thanks so much for taking some time.
Well, thanks so much for having me, and looking forward to being in Utah. Thanks a bunch.
Let's get back now to Jason and to Cornhusker Bill.
Thank you, Craig. And
he came up with a nickname for me. That's very nice.
Yeah, and it was a lot nicer than the ones he uses for me.
Of course, he'd have to bring that out, rub a little salt in the wound, because Nebraska's not having a
tough season.
They're having a tough year.
Yeah.
But, thanks, Craig.
That was and great get there, Craig. Especially, I hope that USU's IOGP isn't mad at us for this, scooping them on this, but pretty big get there. Jonathan Martin of the New York Times, again, national political correspondent, been at it for a long time, and some great perspective there on the current state of journalism, current state of politics. You can hear more from Jonathan on this very subject tomorrow, 1 p.m. at the David B. Haight Center there on campus, the Alumni Center, basically there at the west end of campus. West side of the Student Center. This is a free event. They do have pizza. They usually hold on to that until the event's over to get people to stay through the whole thing and not just come for the pizza. And it's free, open to the public. Students will be there as well. And you can hear more from the New York Times political correspondent, national political correspondent Jonathan Martin at the USU IOGP event. But a little snapshot there from a guy who apparently knows everybody, KVNU's own Craig Hislop. We'll be back right after this.
Insurance and retirement services, let us guide you.
Medicare is different for every individual, never a one plan fits all. Jessup Insurance guides you through all the appropriate steps, plus is there for future questions and concerns. Call Jessup Insurance 435-213-3200 or Google Jessup Insurance.
Jessup Insurance and retirement services, let us guide you.
I'm Amy Anderson, and I'm asking for your vote for Logan City Council. How do we together protect the visual resources of Logan, our views, the open space, the parks, as we infill within our neighborhoods? How do we preserve the neighborhood character and encourage young families to stay? The changes made in our town center and mixed-use zones are a start. Using our redevelopment district funds to create economically productive centers for business and social activities is a catalyst. Let us continue to build consensus as we grow.
Paid for by Amy Anderson for Logan City Council.
Even though the weather's grown colder, you still have time to have your fruit trees pruned. Logan Extermination says your trees need to be trimmed back in order to achieve success next year. And this is the first step to a bountiful harvest. However, you could do more bad than good if you don't know what you're doing. Save the headache and call Logan Extermination today and get a jump on tree pruning. Prices will vary depending on your needs. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Aggie fans are looking forward to homecoming weekend and an important Friday night football game. Locker 42 has lots of things any Aggie would love to wear to the game. With cooler temperatures, pick out a new Aggie logo jacket, long sleeve tee, or a warm and comfortable Aggie hoodie. And nobody has a bigger selection of Aggie hats. Locker 42 has a wall full of Aggie hats for you to choose from. When it's time to get ready for game day, shop Locker 42. Either location, 1430 North Main next to Little Caesars, or the flagship store in downtown Logan at 36 South Main. Locker 42.
That is our time for today. For the week, actually. A reminder, no For the People tomorrow, meaning no movie show. Sadly, Andy will be back with us next week, though, for a double feature. Tomorrow at 4, instead of For the People, Logan High. Logan High hosting Cedar City on the Crimson Field.